state of mankind. How much do you know? Excerpts from How the Spectre of Communism is Ruling Our World. 93. Before a new law takes effect, it goes through a variety of steps, including its drafting, political endorsement, court rulings about its legality, or its implementation by law enforcement officials. During this process, individuals or groups in academia, media, legal circles, and even the entertainment industry exert influence over the legislation and enactment of law. The communist spectre found its representatives across society to take control over the legislative process. Various political lobbies made their best efforts to fill government agencies with leftists. In the judicial branch, they became judges, prosecutors, or other officials responsible for the carriage of justice. A liberal president will do everything in his power to appoint like-minded justices to the Supreme Court, where they will use their influence to warp the law, or he will use his executive powers to circumvent the legal system. Historically, liberal U.S. presidents have tended to grant more pardons. In a recent administration, the president commuted the sentences of 1,385 convicts and granted a total of 212 pardons, the greatest number since the administration of President Harry Truman. In one of his final acts before leaving the White House, the president commuted the sentences of 209 individuals and granted pardons to 64 others. Most of those who received pardons were nonviolent drug offenders. One exception was a man who had been charged and found guilty of leaking 700,000 classified military documents. With presidential clemency, his sentence was reduced, and he served only 4 years of his 35-year sentence. While the president has the constitutionally ordained power to grant pardons, overuse of this power works against the function and purpose of the law, which is to punish wrongdoing and support upstanding citizens. In 1954, then-Senator Lyndon B. Johnson of Texas, who later served as the 36th President of the United States, introduced the Johnson Amendment, which prohibits nonprofit organizations, including churches, from engaging in certain activities. Violators could have their tax exemptions revoked. Wary of this, some Christian churches instruct their priests to avoid certain political topics when speaking at the pulpit, including controversial social issues such as abortion, homosexuality, euthanasia, stem cell research, and so on. The communist spectre also manipulated all political groups in an attempt to change law enforcement by prosecutors through elections. Sent to his position by progressive patrons and political groups, one district attorney fired 31 prosecutors during his first week on the job. Calling for an end to mass incarceration, he also ordered the rest of his office to stop prosecuting marijuana possession. There are similar situations in other states. The president of the Union for Prosecutors said that the effect was to call on prosecutors to pick and choose which laws they would enforce. In his opinion, it was a very risky phenomenon when the elected officials were asked to ignore laws they had sworn to uphold. Judges also have jurisdiction to cancel orders from administrative departments. For instance, U.S. immigration law gives the president the right to deny foreigners permission to enter the country in emergency situations. However, some judges influenced by liberalism considered a recent travel ban issued by the president to be religious discrimination. Their rulings delayed the ban for over 4 months until the executive action was upheld by the Supreme Court. Lawyers have a great influence on court rulings. The political leanings of a legal association can have a direct impact on whether the will of the law can be executed. In one lawyers' association that commands nationwide presence, the founder is a self-avowed socialist who believes in public ownership and says that his ultimate goal is to establish communism. The association boasts tens of thousands of members around the country and an annual budget in the hundreds of millions. It files lawsuits to support causes such as same-sex marriage, the right of homosexuals to adopt children, and abortion rights, and to combat discrimination against homosexuality, bisexuality, and the like. Liberalism and progressivism occupy key political positions across the United States and dominate academia, the media, and social movements. This has allowed the devil to wield unprecedented power over the legislative and judicial processes. From Chapter 10, Using the Law for Evil.